Go, check this.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a review about the man who invented Christmas, which is the story behind A Christmas Carol. Now, I do believe that I did say I would do a review of A Christmas Story. The problem is, I have a number of different versions to pick from. There's plenty of movies. Probably, I think the oldest is probably this one that we currently have. It's Mickey's Christmas Carol. We also have A Muppet's Christmas Carol. Now, I do believe in that review, I did say that one of the edits I don't particularly like in this movie is to take out a particular song in the movie, and it's a very weird jump cut. To people that have seen this particular movie on VHS, seen it on DVD, and I scream absolute murder. This is probably my mother's favourite version, which is A Dennis the Menace Christmas, which is actually, I believe, the third in the series of Dennis the Menace movies. And it uses the grumpy old neighbour as a sort of a sub for Scrooge. Yes, this is from my sister. When we actually got this, she was going through a bit of a phase where she pretty much was in a Barbie phase. And this is also a very odd take on the movie. Now, this is the front one, the top one is the one I'm talking about. This one is actually done by the Hallmark Channel, and one of the actors that are in this is Kelsey Grammer, who most people, I don't know from his work on either Frasier or X-Men, The Last Stand, which is X-Men 3. Talking about X-Men, you have Patrick Stewart's version. Has the man ever done a movie where he has hair? Scrooged, which takes the story of Scrooge and gives it a very modern twist. And that's the only one I should say that is set somewhat in modern day, except for maybe the Dennis the Menace Christmas would be set in modern day. You have another Disney classic Disney take, but according to one of the bonus features in this one, it's the closest to how Charles Dickens actually wrote it. And last but not least, you have another animated version. This one starring Kate Winslet and Nicolas Cage in the leads. Yeah, my mum has a subtle tradition of pulling these out pretty much every Christmas and watching them till our ears bleed.
Oh, you forgot one. You forgot Carry On one.
Oh yes, my mum does have Carry On Christmas. One of the episodes that they did within the Carry On series. If you know that series, I believe in the 80s, or I think it was like 80s or 70s. It's a British comedy series, and they did do an episode loosely based around Muppets Christmas Carol. There are pretty much a bunch of different versions of this story. Now, we meet Scrooge, whatever version we see. He is pretty much a accountant who pretty much thinks of one thing and one thing only: money, 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 and doesn't really think about anyone else. And if your rent is due, he wants it due. Pretty much someone who doesn't really care about anyone else and would spend as little money on himself as he can. But in the Hallmark version, and also we see a little bit of this in The Man Who Invented Christmas, we understand why he has that, why he has
There's one piece left.
why he has that whole idea in his
That's
head,
my piece, okay?
Alright.
which is his father was arrested and put in jail.
Then he got raped.
His last word to his children
Please take my pants off.
was save your pennies. Save your pennies, save your pennies, save your pennies. And throughout his life, he's taken that idea to heart, which is why he has so much wealth, but doesn't want to give it to anyone.
Got next door's throwing the rubbish out.
And
going to be picked up today.
We also find out that 7 years in the past, we find out that his partner in his firm has died, but we don't exactly know how he died. We just might know he's dead, because he comes back as a ghost to give him some help from the grave, you could say, in the form of his spirit saying, stop what you're doing, stop what you're doing right now. You will regret it in the next life. That's pretty much what he's saying. But he gives them a ray of hope in the form of 3 spirits. The Ghost of Christmas Past shows him what his life was. Shows him his school life, a little bit of his sister, who we meet actually in Act 1, you could pretty much say it. His nephew, we understand that she died in childbirth, which is pretty much one of the major ways women would die back in the 1800s, which is when this most are set. She'll die of a childbirth, cold, something like that. So, but we understand she died in childbirth, and which is really sad. We see him actually have a girl in his life, but because of his money-saving ways, he pretty much found her and lost her, which is really sad to see. He had a glimmer of hope in his life, but he just was money hungry. So then we meet the Ghost of Christmas Present. So it shows him the joys of Christmas, what people would do. They would show him the parties that these people would have and the lavishness of Christmas, and homes in on 2 particular figures: Fred, his nephew, and the party he puts on. We assume every year he invites his nephew, he invites his uncle to be polite, and turns him down. But we see him still having a good old jolly time of it, making fun of his nephew, his uncle, of course, And then we also see
Yeah, about 5 o'clock I'll make it, love.
we also see his clerk's family, how the struggle his family would have to put a basic meal on the table. But it's basic, yes, but there's love, and there's so much love in this particular meal, which is, it could be as simple as a chicken, spuds, probably some gravy, maybe some veggies if they could afford it. But there's love there. There's pure love, which is really beautiful. We also meet his son, the Cratchit's youngest, who is on crutches, and he's coughing all the time. I would say he probably have asthma. From the amount of coughing he has, he probably does have asthma. I can't actually say that he has asthma, but I assume it's probably asthma. So, and then we meet the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, or the Ghost of Christmas Future. We go back to the Cratchit's house post death of their son, and we see his family, the Cratchits, grieving over their son, who I'm assuming probably died of his coughs, died of asthma, which probably did happen a lot back then. The fact that they weren't beggars, but they weren't exactly wealthy. They were probably more middle class, and they probably couldn't afford a basic doctor to come and see their son all the time. So I'm assuming because of the coughs, he died of probably pneumonia or the common flu. So that was really sad to see. And then we also see how the world would react to the death of Scrooge himself, which pretty much knocks him, is probably the nail in his coffin in terms of him being really bad, because we actually see some of the fellow people in his community of bankers say, I won't turn up to a funeral unless they get some food out of it, which is really, really sad and really pathetic, I should say. Not the best guy to have around, according to them. You see Mrs. Dibbit, I'm guessing helps his head maid I have no idea what she told about sometimes. I'm talking about Christmas Story, Dumbo, my sister. She takes blankets, these sort of curtain around his bed, some of his clothing, and tries to sell it, which is probably a way that she probably would have got some money out of Scrooge. Now, she probably wouldn't have she would have been one of the beggars if she hadn't done this. So, which is really sad to see. She probably needed to have put food on the table, and without any employment, this is pretty much the only thing she could do. And when he after that, he wakes up, and there's a new spark in his life. He goes, wow, I'm going to take what I learnt from the Ghost of Christmas to past, present, and future, and I'm changed. I'm physically changed because of it. I've gone from a miserable miser who wouldn't give a penny to charity and gives, I would say, the king's ransom to charities. And he went to Bob his staff and said, okay, I'm going to give you a raise. I'm going to make sure your family is well taken care of and they don't have to want for a thing, which is really beautiful to see, because from an absolute, pardon my French, a bastard and high and mighty on himself to going, I want to look after this family in particular, and I would say develop a relationship with his nephew Fred, which is what Fred wanted above all else, is to develop a relationship with his uncle. So I'm actually a little bit tearing up actually. My mother particularly brings these out. I think this is pretty much a story that everyone will take a version and take to their heart. In my mum's case, it would be probably the Dennis the Menace version, and probably the Mickey's Christmas Carol, because she grew up with that. I would say the DVD version, the VHS version of Muppets Christmas for myself. My dad particularly liked Scrooged. My sister, well, it's hard to tell with her, and my brother, well, he pretty much... Thank you, my mother's in the room with... And then, well, my brother doesn't really like Christmas, so I would say he's a bit of a Scrooge. So, like I've just demonstrated, you will find a version of the story that you would thoroughly enjoy. Collectively as a group, I would give it a 4.5 out of 5, which is pretty high in terms of my ratings. So I will continue to bring these out every Christmas until the day I croak. And the great thing about this story is it's timeless. You can watch it. You can give it to your kids. Your parents would love it. Even your grandparents would love this particular story. So it is universal. It will hit every single demographic, which is beautiful to see in a particular story. I do apologize for some of the language my brother has said. He pretty much doesn't like me doing these things. I do apologize if he says some really bad things. As you know, I don't edit these things, so I can't wait to see what next comes up on this channel, and I shall see you again soon. Ciao!